Let's do some artwork. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Ken Johnson, and today I'm going to do something I hadn't done in a long time. I've alluded to it before, but I think I need to go into it more depth. You see, I am an award-winning artist. I don't just paint pictures, I paint pictures on feathers. So, if you look at some of my artwork, you'll see that I tend to do a lot of nature scenes. I like animals, and so a lot of people resonate with the soulful practice of reusing feathers that would be discarded and taking those feathers and repurposing them to celebrate creation. And that is something that I try to put in most of my paintings, unless it's something that somebody wants specifically or whatever. But when I'm painting for myself, that is what I do. In 2018, I quit my job with the government. I'd worked for government for over 20 years. I had a master's degree. And realizing that there was no future in it for me, and that I was basically at a dead end, I decided to go out on my own. That was August 2018. December 2018, my father died. He died right before Christmas. My mother had a heart attack just a few months later, and due to complications from her heart surgery, she stayed in a rehabilitation center for a while. So I spent a lot of my time away from what would be my business. I did have some businesses. I did start them. I was doing pretty good. Then, shortly after my mother got out, and just after my businesses started to take off, this idiot rear-ended me. And I spent the next year and a half, 2 years, trying to recover from the wreck. He folded the back of the truck like a taco. During this recovery time, I had some issues. I had a brain injury. One of the things that the injury caused is this fear. It was almost like traumatic disorder, PTSD. Somehow, some way, my brain associated joy for sadness and trauma. I started having episodes where painting became painful. And as such, since really 2019, I haven't painted. The wreck caused me to have eye problems. I now have to wear bifocals to do stuff. I've got readers right now. I'm going to be ordering some bifocals to do my fishing. It's just becoming so difficult. I can't do the things I enjoy. But I thought that's time for me to start painting again. So one of the things I want to do is I want to show you some of the work I've done in the past, and we're going to start off small. So right now I want to show you some of the big pictures I'm known for, the ones I've won artwork for. So I've got stuff of deer, I've got stuff of dolphins, all sorts of various types of paintings that I've done and won awards for, and people have bought. And, you know, these paintings, some of them have sold for like $500 or more. Then I've got my, I decided I wanted to make my art more accessible. Not everybody has hundreds of dollars to buy paintings. And people will buy stuff at Christmas time when they wouldn't buy it at any other time. So on a whim, I started making Christmas ornaments. And my wife, she was amazed at how much detail I still put in these tiny, tiny feathers. And in fact, a lot of people, they appreciated the fact I spent so much time on these little feathers. I sell them for $15 a piece. I haven't gone up on my prices. And that's with, I do $15 shipping. No matter how many you buy, I'll do $15 shipping. And so I'm going to show you right now some of the ones I've got in my inventory. Afterwards, we'll come back and let's do a painting video. I want to show 3 of the more common styles of my artwork that is for the ornaments. And now the ones I have in my inventory are glass. For years and years and years, people wanted me to do plastic ornaments. I don't like plastic ornaments. I never have. You can't clean plastic ornaments. The plastic breaks down, it yellows, it cracks. There's a whole host of issues. I just don't like them. However, people that have children, people that have pets, they want plastic over glass. So this year, I have got a limited inventory of plastic balls that are ornament balls. In the past, the glass was cheaper, it was better, and so I used it. I'm able to get a certain quantity at an affordable price of the plastic. I was losing sales 4 to 1 because I would not come off the not doing plastic ornaments. So this year I'm going to do plastic ornaments because people want them. It is not the best choice for the artwork, but if your life requires plastic ornaments, okay, that's fine. It actually will make my life easier for shipping, but glass is best. But with that, let's take a look at them. This right here is probably one of my most popular designs. It is a cardinal. It's hard to see with the light, so let's turn the light off. Now you can see some designs in here. It's just really hard to get this on a camera, and the reason why is that cardinal is about the size of my thumbnail. So that kind of lets you know what we're dealing with here. This right here is another very popular design. It is an emperor penguin. And you can look and see the detail. Again, this is very small, all glass ornament. This right here is a no one some people like. I'll sometimes put raffia in behind it. This one probably needs some raffia behind it. But it's a boot with some, it's a cowboy boot with some little Christmas lights on it. People seem to like them, so I've made a ton of these. And here's a look at one with the raffia behind it. You can see that right there. Oops, trying to get where you can see it better. Pardon the hands. But yeah, and there's the raffia you can see there. This is probably my second most popular design. A ton of people buy this. And I'll put raffia. This is some moss I put in there as well. People love these ornaments, and so I've made hundreds upon hundreds of them. But this is one of the designs. Now this right here may not mean a lot to people that are not from Northwest Florida, but this is the iconic beach ball at Pensacola Beach. And so a lot of people around Northwest Florida know this symbol, and they decided they wanted to buy a bunch of them. So for a time I was making a bunch of them. This is the only one I think that I have left. This right here is a dolphin, and pardon the fingers, trying to get where you can see it because these things don't want to hold still. But there it is, swimming up. Again, you can look at my thumb for reference. So this dolphin is about 2 times the size of my thumb. And I've just took some moss and painted them, or actually lichen, and painted the lichen to make it look like coral. So there you go there. Alright, so this right here is a redfish fin. So when redfish are feeding in the shallows, the tail fin will stick out sometimes. And so you get that kind of shark look with the redfish. I'm going to turn off the light. Try to zoom in a little bit, and there's that iconic eye dot in the back that you get sometimes. This right here is a owl. I get a ton of requests for owls. I do hoot owls, screech owls, all sorts of owls. But people love them. So I do them. I don't get a lot of these because a lot of the people in my area, we don't have snow. I'm going to turn off the light real quick so you can see some of the detail. But look at that. That's a lamp post in a snowstorm. It's hard to, I mean, you gotta think this thing again is probably about 2 of my finger or thumbnail lengths, or widths of my thumbnail. So I love these. Let me show you another one, just a little different, not much different. This right here is just a little lighter, brighter background for it so you can see the lamppost a little bit better. I just love the design myself, but you know, if you're not from an area that snows a lot, you know, this wouldn't really call out to you, but areas where it does snow, I think you would appreciate this. This is a fun little one. My friends call me Sasquatch, so I decided to do a Sasquatch one. No one ever talks about Bigfoot at Christmas, yet he never complains. Yeah, sorry, that's a bad joke, but yeah, this is a abominable snowman or yeti, and it's hard to see, but he's got a little bell on his hat. You can actually, if you zoom in, you can kind of see the bell thing right there. So this is like super, super, super detailed. Even though it's comical, I do put a lot of detail in my paintings. Even the comical ones, I'll put a good amount of detail for the size that it is. Alrighty, and then we've got this little octopus here hanging the mistletoe, some lights. I get a lot of requests for jellyfish and octopus based paintings. So owls, ospreys, eagles, turtles. These are things that I get a lot requested of me. So I did this little comical octopus type of character for Christmas. I've sold a few of these. Just a funny little character. I thought he was cute. At the risk of looking overly simplistic, I just use the student artist acrylics from Hobby Lobby. This is their Master's Touch line. I have found that the small acrylics that they produce, not the big tubes, the big tubes seem to be a different type of paint. I don't know why, but they just don't perform as well. But the small tubes seem to have more of the acrylic and more of the pigment in them. So therefore, I like these better. And so what I've got is just a little keychain pair of scissors that I got from a local hardware store. And then I use a paper plate, and then I've got a solo cup of water, and then you'll see my brushes that I use. Alrighty, so this is my colors. I've got some titanium white. Now this is a little bit more liquidy. That's because I use some Simply Basic white. This is stuff you get from Walmart. You can see the difference here. It is just real liquidy. But I'm going to use that kind of thin down my paints too. So when you're painting a feather, you need more white to mix with your colors to make them the color that they need to be. This right here is Lake Blue. Then I'm going to use that for a lot of my background. So that's going to make my sky blue, because winter scenes tend to be a little bit darker skies. From there, we got a crimson, then we got a scarlet, vermilion, lemon yellow, permanent black, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, grass green, and then a light green. So these are my colors. I'm going to put a dab of water on these because as I'm painting, these tend to dry out quicker than the cheaper paints do. So I'm going to just make sure that I don't lose that, lose this paint, and try to conserve what I have. And then I'll get back with you. Now it's time we actually measure our feathers and kind of get an idea. I want to kind of see where it goes from here. I'm thinking right there is good for now. So this is good if you got feathers that are kind of broken, not the most perfect in the world. It's a way of reusing feathers that may not be better or good for a bigger project, they might be too small, whatever. So there we go. This is still a little bit too big, but I'd rather be too big than too small. So now let's start painting. When you're dealing with a brand new brush, you're going to have instances where you know, they're a little stiff. The reason why is it's got gelatin on it. And if you'll just soak that in some water, that will fix that problem for you right away. Now, what I'm going to do is mix a little bit of the white here. Get my brush, get a good thing of white, dip it into the blue, and you want to go just a little bit lighter than what you think you need. The paint's going to dry darker, and so the feather is also dark. And so what we'll do is just, pardon that, what we'll do is just kind of get a good base coating here. I normally don't paint like this. I hold the feather up and paint it. That way I can adjust for my eyesight and things of that nature. People, you know, they think that I paint on an easel or whatever. No, I don't. I actually hold my feathers and paint them. And so that's actually what I'm going to do off camera. I do want to also show you why I don't like to use the table lay stuff on. It goes through the veins of the feathers. I don't know if you can see that, but that's paint seeping through right there. I just don't like it. So therefore, that's the reason why I like to just kind of hold the feather and paint it the way that I do. People always are amazed by that. They don't understand why I do it, but these are very fragile, very delicate things, and most people don't know how to operate a paintbrush. Bob Ross said it best. It's 3 hairs and some air. You're not drawing or pressing. You're just lightly caressing the feather with the brush. That's all you want to do. You're just taking a minimum amount of paint and putting on there. Very thin layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. After we let this dry, we'll come back. While we're letting that one dry, I thought what I'd do is go ahead, dip my brush in a little bit of red and get me some blue going and a little bit of white. Making a purple, in case you're wondering. And thought what I'd do is get started on the other two that I'm wanting to do. So this one right here, I think I'm going to let that be kind of purple here. I like that. I want it to be kind of dark. Not really. I'm doing a night scene. I don't want to do black. Sky really isn't that black a lot of times. It is because you've got ambient light coming in from the moon and from other things, and you'll see here that this scene right here, it's more fitting because there would be a lot of light at night because of what this depicts. So just going in, getting my blues, getting my reds. I'm keeping it as dark as I can, but still got that kind of lighted scene. Go back into my crimson a little bit. So I'm using dark, deep colors. Oh yeah, that's pretty purple right there. So and just painting this down. So doing 3 paintings today. give you a 3-for-1 deal on this one. And then if you like these, we can do some more. I think that's good right there for that one. Now the next one we're going to do in a more darker color. So I'm going to rinse out my brush. It's okay if I get it a little bit dirty because this is all background colors. I really don't worry too much about my water being that dirty. Unless I've got something really, really white I'm trying to do. Most colors I'm just not that concerned with getting them muddied up. I'm taking a little bit of permanent black and some burnt sienna and mixing that up. It's already got a black background, or kind of an iridescent background, but I want to make sure it's nice and dark. Most people won't see it, but the dark helps you see lights better. It's like life. You know, I was talking about my wreck. And yeah, I'm angry over it. Who wouldn't be angry over it? It isn't fair. But life isn't fair. You know, anybody says life is fair, don't believe them. It's kind of like, you know, I've had a lot of people say, well, God won't put any more on you than what you can handle. That's not in the Bible. That's not true. The actual verse that's talking about says that God's going to be with you through it. But it doesn't say he's not going to put on you more than what you can handle. There's nothing about that. So you need the darks. I think one of my favorite sayings, person said that life was like a painting being done by a master. And when it's done, it's going to be the most beautiful creation that anyone has ever seen. Full of dark, dark, darks and bright, bright, brights. But until the work is complete, like any piece of art, it's going to be messy as all get out. Alright, so there we go on that one. I'm going to let these set and dry, and we'll move on to the next. Alright, this right here is a double alt brush. I'm going to add just a little bit of white and grab some burnt sienna, mix that up. Again, you just need a little bit of white because there's no white shining through. Most of the paints that are created in the market are meant for a white background. And because you don't have a white background here, you got to worry about stuff. And don't worry about right now. You can see there's all kind of little lines and stuff. Don't worry about it. We're just painting here. We're not doing anything serious. We're just having some fun. So if it's not the way you like it, guess what? It's okay. You can always change it. Alright, now get that. Get some more white in here. Okay. Now, this is where we have fun. We'll get a little bit of the burnt, or the yellow ochre, not burnt ochre, yellow ochre, and mix it in with that white and a little bit of that black. Now, what we're going to do, I actually want a little bit more black than that, because you need that dark. Don't lose the dark. A lot of people, they want their paintings to be so bright, and I guess it's because people have an innate hatred of darkness, but you need the darkness. So use the darkness where you can. I may actually go straight black. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to add it in a little bit more. Don't want it too dark, because I'm going to have some areas that's like really, really dark, and I want that to be a focal point. So I'm not, that's the other thing. Think ahead of what you're going to be painting. You know, I realized I've got something really black in here that I'm doing. So I don't want that dark. All right, now rinse out the brush. It's okay, that's got a little bit of that paint on there. Residual muddiness, it's fine. It's not enough to make a difference. Now I've taken white. Now we're going, this is just to kind of emulate bark. A lot of times people try to worry about so much detail, but you don't need to worry about detail. Just give impressions. I'm just making little strokes and just lightly touching right there and right there. Now, see, that's going to eventually look like tree limbs. Don't look like it now, but trust me, it will. I went back into the white. Now I'm going into some of the grass green. I love grass green. It is one of my favorite colors to work with. It is so nice. It's so vibrant. And so now what I'm doing is I've got some white mixed in, but I'm going to go straight grass green. You'll see why in a minute. Oh yeah. That's good. Now we're doing basically pine needles. Because what says Christmas like pine needles and conifers and things of that nature. Now we'll go back into the white. So what happened was I had to correct. I had to use my darker color first as my base, and then go back over with my light. See, now I've got layers of color coming in, and if you will thin out your paint as these paints dry, if you have a thinner paint will go on top of a thicker paint. And so a lot of times people are amazed, well, you just painted over something wet and it didn't smear. Well, first of all, I'm using a very, very, very light touch. I'm barely caressing these. and I've got my paint so thin that it's like ink. And so now I might have 2 or 3 hairs is all that I'm actually painting with. And there was a art festival I was at, and there was another feather painting artist, which is very rare to find. And this feather painting artist, she was talking about she does all these different brushes and she modifies her brushes, and she was doing her spiel, and I, whatever. And so some people came up to my wife. My wife is normally very nice and polite, and they were talking about it. They asked my wife what all I do special, and she said he just paints because he's a freaking artist and that's what he does. I thought it was kind of funny. I told her, I said, that's really not good to do in front of people, but I appreciate the sentiment that, she has been my biggest supporter. I'm so blessed to have her in my life. I just took a little bit of that lemon yellow, and I may need to do some more lemon yellow and more white. So don't be afraid to say, okay, I messed up. It's all right. A lot of things in life can be avoided if we would just own up to, I made a mistake. Let's fix it. It's almost like it's a sin nowadays for people to make mistakes. It's called being human. We make mistakes all the time. Own up to it. Accountability. That's all that's needed in life. A little bit of accountability. Oh yeah. Again, I'm just doing little impressions. Not a lot. Don't want a lot. This one. Oops. Well, I'll come back and get that one. Alright, so there we go there. Nothing big. This is just some impressions that you're trying to do. I did say I was going to come back on that one, so let me do that real quick. Just kind of come through here. Oops. You can overdo it, so I'm not going to overdo it. This is all background stuff. Sometimes you just got to tell yourself, quit. So that's what I'm doing. I'm quitting. It's by far one of my more favorite ones to do. Just because they're so freaking simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this with a little bit of blue, this white, and I've kind of got the area I want. I'm just mixing the blue in, because there is a background to light. Light with no background is, what is it? So you're going to have some clouds, you're going to have something getting the light, And so what I'm doing is I'm coming in here and adding some radiant light background. So I'm doing a cool color because it's night, and then it will be brighter because I added the background. Alright, so I think that's good there. I'm going to switch over because I have a special brush that I like to use for this. This right here is a brush that's used for manicuring or for doing artwork on. There. So this is a brush used by nail artists for fingernails. They call it a paint pen. And it's just, I like it. It's just super, super, super thin. And that allows me to do what I need to do, which in this case is draw some very intricate lines. Doesn't have to be that intricate, but the more you can do, the better. And so basically what I'm doing is I am making a star. And because I have that blue behind it on that dark background, it just kind of makes it look a little bit more radiant. Go. Alright, so that's a star, or what I'm calling a star. Again, we're only dealing with impressions. I love doing these because they're so simple, but we're doing a crease. Actually, creases are kind of marketing. Most research says that Yeshua, which is Jesus' real name, Jesus is not his name, but Yeshua, he was born not in some type of barn, but a cave. And that's where the manger would have been. But because Europeans have no understanding of that culture, a lot of people just saw it as being a barn or something like that, or some type of outbuilding. Now, but yeah, it was actually a cave. But you can't paint a cave. Well, I guess you could, but it just isn't as symbolic as what we know of. So even though this isn't true historically, religiously, anything of that nature, for marketing purposes, it's identifiable, and so that's the reason why I'm painting it. Now I'm going to do a little X right there. And that's the baby. Again, now we're just doing impressions. That's it. Just doing Mary and Joseph. And their baby. Nothing, just simple. Easy. So that's the crease. That one is done. Simple, simple, simple. Look how little bit of time that took. Okay. Now this one's another simple one. I like these. Not just cause they sell. I mean, yeah, they sell and I like that, but I just think they're neat. I like that. I just, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't paint it. You got to like what you're doing. And so when somebody's, if I was at a show or something, somebody wanted to see me do something real quick, I could bang these out, and when I have more time, I do one like the cardinal one that we're going to be doing soon. And so, but sometimes I would actually do this part with a bigger paintbrush, because this is actually too small for this part. You can do it with a bigger brush. I like to use the biggest brush I can get away with. But because I'm trying to show me doing this, I just said, well, I'll go ahead and do this right now since I had the brush in my hand, and this is the brush I had, I'm using it. But typically I like to use a bigger brush while I'm doing the deer part. I'm gonna go into some water because I'm gonna need some thinner white for the horns. I know they're antlers, but we call them horns here. Okay, so that's the deer so far. We'll let him dry. We'll go on to the cardinal. Now we got the cardinal. I'm going to go with a bigger paintbrush. I'm going back to my double alt. say 00, double alt. Alt's just another word for 0. It's just an old-timey saying. So what I'm doing, thinking he's gonna come right in there. There we go there. Okay. Now I'm gonna go into my vermilion. This is where we get some of the go. I'm gonna get, the reason why I don't like to use a lot of white is because you can get pink very quickly. You don't want that. You don't want pink. It's not a pink bird. It is a very vibrant red, but you can come back and hit it with some lighter stuff. You just gotta be very, very careful how much white you actually use on this. And okay. Okay. Now, where people have an issue is they don't embrace black. There's a little area right here that and then my paint is actually too wet. So I'm going to use that right now to do some stuff that I need to do. And I'll come back but this will actually make things better. We're going to let this dry for a second. Okay, so now go back in here. Oh, crud. Give me a quick little Okay, now we'll go in here. It's actually too wet. You take your hand, kind of do like that. Now okay. 3, 2, 1. So what we're going to do is come back with some highlights. Take, ooh, that's a nice sparkler. Don't go too much. Now, come from the tail. Over a little bit more. There we go there. Okay, now do a little dot for an eye. And then this right here for the beak. Now, come back in because I got a little bit of orange on that beak. Not much. It's not much. It's just a hair. But it's enough. So you just kind of come in here. There's that. come in with a little bit of a line here. There we go. We'll call that good. You can overdo it, but that's pretty much it right there. This kind of want to do a bunch of greenery. So I'm doing my grass green first. Again, save that dark, so I'm not actually mixing this with white. I know I said that you normally mix it with white, but see how there's white on the background, that deer? I am letting that show through, and then the rest go into the darkness. So that's actually going to work as my shadow. And then as it dries, I've got other colors that's going to be on top, and then that will actually make it look more full. So all this dark stuff that you think won't pay or won't matter much, it will in the end, even though it don't look so now. it will play a part because it'll show up a little bit. The eyes will pick it up, the brain will pick it up, and it'll just look more natural, and everybody be like, I don't know why that looks so real. It's playing tricks with your mind. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white, a little bit of water. Oh, yeah, that makes a very bright green. Now, okay. Doesn't have to be a lot, but I find that the more greenery I have, the more it kind of sets off the next color. That's because of color theory. You have a thing called complementary colors. It is basically where colors tend to resonate differently with each other. So if you look on the color wheel, red and green are across from each other. You have other colors that they're opposite of each other as well. So like orange and blue. And that makes the eyes kind of vibrate a little bit. And so by having a lot of green, then that shows up the reds better. And so I'm going to go right here and get some water, get some red. Actually, it's crimson that I'm doing right now. Thinning out my crimson, because remember, a thin paint sticks to a thicker paint. This crimson's been sitting now this whole painting cycle. So now we're just going to do that. You need some dark. So yeah, right now it's not going to make sense. because I'm just doing dots. But once I get all these paints going and then I add the highlights, it'll make sense. But for right now it's not. It's just a bunch of dots and they're dark and you can hardly see them, and that's fine. Oh crap. Let's get that off. There we go. Always good to have something to blot with. I'll take, that's too wet. There we go. Can't have it too wet. No, I want that. So, boom, 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 boom. Don't have to be well defined, because we'll come back and brighten that up in a minute. Alright, now I'm going to go to a different color. And so now there's a bright color. Bright. There's a dab. There's a dab. See how having those different colors, it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. Doesn't have to be much. Right here, not much. But now we got something that looks a little bit more akin to a festive deer. Probably going to strengthen that one antler that's bothering me. Okay. Okay. You know what? I like that. We're going to call that good. Now we'll let these dry, and then I will put these into the ornaments. I'll show you that. That's pretty much it. Super, super simple. Now I can always do a bigger painting, so if y'all like that, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to do one. I think it'd be kind of neat. I'd love to do one. Alright, so I'm going to let these dry. This right here is raffia. So what we're going to do is fill one of these ornaments with some pieces cut up raffia. Raffia is just basically pieces of palm leaf. And they use it for binding and stuff and crafts. But it kind of looks like straw, so that's what I use it for. It's kind of mimicked straw and stuff. Now I just kind of put it in here kind of haphazardly. And if it, for some reason, it's not going in like you ought to, you can just take a pen or one of your paint brushes, whatever, and just kind of finagle it in like you want it. So I'm not really that concerned right now. Okay, so there we go. This is a little piece out of a nut cracking set for digging nut meats out. That's what I'm using here. So now we're going to trim the feather. I'm going to do the crease first. So we're going to trim this feather to meet that. I'm actually going to trim from the bottom a little bit, because I want that kind of go down a little bit. So I'm going to trim that. There we go. Do is take this, fold her up, place her in, place her like we want to. That's about where I want it. Put this right here. There we go. Nice ornament, ready to go. Just for the sake of brevity, I've already went ahead and filled this one up and trimmed the feather, because, I mean, you know, you already seen how I do it. And there we go there. Now one more, we'll be done. Here we go, last and final one. Alright, so here is our cardinal that we painted. Here is that creche that we did, the nativity scene. And here is the festive holiday deer. Tell me what y'all think. All the ornaments that I've showed today, you can buy them. They're $15 a piece if you're interested. Just let me know. And with that, please let me know if you're also interested in any of the bigger paintings, me showing how to do them. What would you like to paint? Me to paint? Tell me that. With that, go ahead, give it a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share it with your friends, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.